lot of leverage around me. We have 3 amazing people on our support team, and I wanted to create a better environment for our agents to have a better life. You know, this is kind of an industry where you can kind of sell your soul to it if you're not careful. And I knew that if we could actually invest money into getting our agents deals, closings, that was my focus from the very beginning. Instead of having, you know, this brand, I was like, you know, let's take the resources that we would have invested into that and let's go find ways to get actual closings, because that's what I really think the agents care about. At the end of the day, like they want closings.
Welcome, Lab Coats. Hello. I appreciate y'all and your patience with us today, but we're very excited to be here. First things first, wherever you are in the world, put it in the chat. I want to see where y'all are. Today, who we have on the webinar is the one, the only, the GreenBayGreg, the Big Air Dallaire, an absolute legend. And I can say all of this with a smile on my face because the Falcons beat the Packers this year.
I knew you were going to throw that in there. Hey, but Mike LaFleur is 16-0 in December, ladies and gentlemen. 16-0.
Well, it's a good thing December's come and y'all are still in the playoff hunt.
That's
but no, we're excited to chat today. Greg runs a very specific type of brokerage. He does not take the spray and pray approach with his agents. He does not, hire fast, fire fast. He is very much a SEAL team with the group of his agents. He runs a very serious operation, and as a result, all of his agents see tremendous success, and it's something that you just don't see in many brokerages across the country. So the goal of today is to really understand what makes Greg tick. How did he come to this? How did he start to run his brokerage this way? What technology does he do to empower his agents? Because as you've seen with the title of the webinar, his agents average something to the tune of like 40 plus transactions a year for many years ongoing. If I'm not mistaken, it's like 8-10 years. So we're gonna peel back the onion and understand how exactly it is GBG got this done, and we're excited. We appreciate your willingness to share with us, Greg. Thanks so much.
Yeah, really happy to give back. I know a lot of the success that our team has been able to, get over time has come from a lot of masterminding with a lot of people in lab coats and other communities and public, forums and private forums. But if it wasn't for that type of success or, those type of groups, I don't think we'd be where we are today. So really, I'm grateful to give back today.
Yeah, it's the mindset of abundance that you see is consistent with all the top producers across the country. I don't think there's any debating that. So first things first, let's understand a little bit more about the specifics of your brokerage. You're an independent brokerage, if I'm not mistaken. How many agents do you have in the brokerage?
All right, yeah, great question. So yeah, we are a fully independent brokerage. We launched in 2011. I got in the business in 2006. And for the last 8 years, we've averaged between 38 to 51 sales per agent for the last 8 years. We have 12 agents. That does include me. I'm still in production. And like you had mentioned, it's not hire anyone with a pulse kind of mentality. We strive to provide as much value as we possibly can for our agents. And in doing that, the tenure of our agents is also extremely rare. A lot of our agents have been with me for 7, 8, 9, 10 years, which is pretty rare in this industry.
Yeah, I was just at an event this weekend, and I think I heard someone say their agents on average are with them for 4 years. So you're already double that, which is pretty incredible. How do you identify a lot of these people? Like, how do you determine?
Yeah, so there was this book, I think it was called Who or Why. It was Jeff. I'm trying to remember the name of the author, but the overwhelming thing in the book was like, you need to find people in your circle, and you need to use your circle. Like our inside sales agent, Tandan, who's been with us for 8 years now. I remember dialing through my database and asking them, who do you know that's not afraid to pick up the phone, being, be told to be pound sand and get hung up on, and that's not afraid to make the next call. And I made a ton of calls to find that person. So a lot of it is referrals or people that somebody on our team knows. Our team, we do group interviews so that, and it's like they don't meet with me initially. It's actually 3 people from our team. And if they feel like that person's not a fit for the culture, it's an automatic no. So our team plays a lot of role in, who's going to be a part of the organization, which is kind of neat.
Yeah, that's great, because when someone new comes into the organization, there's already some degree of buy-in, and you get that commitment from agents, right? If I'm an agent on your team and you're trusting me to interview this person first, if I don't absolutely believe that's the right person, I'm not going to put my name out there and tell you, yeah, you should interview and hire this person unless I feel good about it. So that's a good way. And how often would you say they filter people out?
Pretty regularly. I mean, like it's not an automatic thing, and we've learned over time that a maybe is an absolute no.
Yeah.
Like there's no such thing. I mean, we crossed the threshold on that one time, and it really stung us. So we definitely are more cognizant of that. Obviously it's a team effort, and they debrief and figure out if it potentially be a good fit, and then obviously they have to go to the next level of the interview. So there's definitely a process in place where they have to. It's kind of some like checks and balances and stuff.
That makes sense. Um, and so when these people get through to you, is it generally understood that these folks are going to have a work ethic, and that they understand that you run a business and you're not running an adult daycare? Like, what is how do you set expectations for these people to so that they know that you're here to work?
I mean, ideally, I like to actually get them to shadow us in the office, either myself or our ISA, making outbound call attempts and really watch their body language.
Hmm.
You can pretty quickly tell if this is something that makes people uncomfortable. Being good on the telephone is probably one of the skills that, like, if you don't have that, you're not. It's going to be a very difficult road for you. Now, you can definitely learn and be trained and improve your skills on the phone, but if you have that call reluctance before, so for us, I'm almost moving towards like I want them to shadow us before. I want them to truly see us make dials, and I practice what I preach. I mean, a lot of times when we monitor our leaderboards, my dials are definitely up there with the rest of the team and near the top of the leaderboard. So I practice what I preach. So I actually, next week we have a call night, and we have a prospective person that's potentially looking at coming onto the team, has done the group interview, and I said, hey, you know what, you need to come shadow us before we even have like the official sit down with me. And I do try to scare people out of this industry by being really truthful about the expectations and what it requires. And I think a lot of people actually appreciate that, because most times it's, if you have a real estate license and a pulse, they're trying to convince you on how you should join their brokerage, and it's a body volume, it's a body volume game. Like that's their game, and I understand it, and it's a different business model. And it's just not my business model at this point.
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of brokerages out there where their ideal agent is the agent who sells just enough to cap and then never sells anything more, right? And they just cruise, right? So that's a completely different uh, fundamental principle to run your business. How did you decide that you wanted your business to be lean, high individual producing? What kind of drew you to that conclusion?
It's a great question. I always saw even early in my career that it was just a body count game. When I was at other brokerages starting my career, and for like the first year and a half, the people didn't even really want to talk to you because they didn't think you'd be in the business. And that was just not ideally, we started really lean and mean, and it was a very organic kind of growth. And we made some definite, mistakes hiring admin and, hiring the wrong agents, and learning a lot through those time periods. I've never had a personal assistant. I have a lot of leverage around me. We have 3 amazing people on our support team, and I wanted to create a better environment for our agents to have a better life. This is kind of an industry where you can kind of sell your soul to it if you're not careful. And I knew that if we could actually invest money into getting our agents deals, closings, that was my focus from the very beginning. Instead of having, this brand, I was like, let's take the resources that we would have invested into that and let's go find ways to get actual closings. Because that's what I really think the agents care about. At the end of the day, like they want closings. And, in 2011 and 2014, probably even our bigger, we had Boomtown back in the day. And, it was one of those things that we consistently, worked and figured out the game of that, of converting opportunities from the online space. But I'd rather invest in deals for my team. And that was just my philosophy from the very beginning. I think a lot of brokerages struggle to provide value, or they use shiny object syndrome to blind that,
Oh yeah, no, I mean this brings up a really good point, that there's a difference between branding and marketing, and I don't think everyone necessarily makes that distinction. Sometimes you're working on your branding, which would have been building up Dallaire Realty, putting up billboards all over the place and having your name and flashing lights, and then there's going to be marketing, which is what it sounds like. It sounds like you were investing in the online lead generation. And that's what's actually bringing in a steady lead flow in the door, giving agents an opportunity to prospect and generate a business for themselves.
Yeah, we definitely do some marketing from a company level standpoint, but you become spoiled on the direct response marketing and just being super analytical with some of the tools that we have and being able to like truly measure where our return on an investment is coming. You get hooked on the direct response market, machine of generating opportunities. But that's the reality, is like we need to provide closings, for our agents. And right there, that is the most value. And I think that's what, especially newer agents, or any agent for that matter, especially right now where the market is changing a little bit differently, that they want opportunities. So
yeah, branding isn't a bad thing, and I certainly don't mean to present it that way. It's just two different things. It is two very different things. There's branding and there's marketing, and you need to know which is which. And when you're making investments into some form of marketing, you need to understand: are you building your brand, or are you working on, lead generating, opportunity generating, as you've explained. So, no, I mean that makes a ton of sense. You said you were on Boomtown. So what is the tech stack as it stands today? Because you can't do that much business per agent without like a pretty well strung together tech stack to improve people's efficiency.
yeah, and I'm happy to share all of that. My definite superpower is a tech adopter, helping our team adopt technology. It can be painful for our team sometimes, but I try not to. We've gotten pretty methodical about adopting new technology, and there's been quite a bit of change in the last couple of years. So from a transaction management standpoint, we use a program called Open to Close. Super powerful, very deep as far as customization, programming. Sky's really the limit as far as how your brain and your process wants to operate. Our transaction coordinator, Bill, there's times where he'll have 90 pendings and still feel like he has a life. And if it wasn't because of that tool and the way that we've set it up, it just wouldn't be possible.
I mean, that's incredible. 90 pending for one transaction coordinator.
And not pulling not poking their eyes out, and still providing an excellent consumer experience too. Like this is not just a set it and forget it. There's definitely some automation aspects to it, but it feels very, very personal because you can program every aspect of it. If the contract equals this, and then, there's so many, it's a very complex program, but it's super powerful if you can kind of wrap your mind around it. And it hurt my brain for a while, and I'm a tech guy, but it's probably been one of my favorite things in our company. On top of that, we have a program called Sisu, which a lot of the audience is probably familiar with, kind of like the Gecko board, goal tracking, leaderboards, contests. For me, my favorite part of Sisu is the lead source ROI report, which tracks, every single lead that comes into our ecosystem, where it originally started from, and then looking at the conversion percentages and seeing who on our team is actually performing and converting well. Because here's the thing, 1 year, prime example, we had, a couple agents that were really, really heavy on online leads, did a phenomenal job, great conversion. And then they kind of took their feet off the pedal on that, going into this cycle too, which is probably the wrong time to take your feet off the pedal in my mind. So yeah, Sisu, we use that for all of our like contests, TVs in the office where you're walking down, like who's got the most appointments, who's got the most contacts, who's got the most dials. I use it behind the scenes to run our commissions, to process that, certify things. And then for our website, we use Sierra Interactive. We made a big change. We were with Boomtown for a very long time. And then we made the change about 14 months ago to Sierra Interactive. I knew about Sierra Interactive a long, long time ago. I was actually going to create a site about 4 years ago and kind of let it curate over time, and I made a mistake and I gambled. And every once in a while, I'm not afraid to fail. I like to fail forward and learn from that. I wish I would have pulled the trigger 4 years ago on that, because I've been able to really, really grow our organic reach very quickly. It's a lot of work and it's not something that I would recommend for everyone, but the Sierra platform from a communication standpoint and actually running a real business, it can be done there. And then if you're big into like inspecting what you expect, that is a great platform. And then lastly, I've been super bullish on this app program called Ruuster.
I wonder who that could be. I wonder who that could be.
That's a beautiful hat. I have one at my house too. Should have worn that. Tandan's got his hat. I should go grab Tandan's hat. He wears it and rocks it all the time. So Tandan's our ISA. Big shout out to our support team. None of our success would be possible without them, Bill and Tom. But yeah, so let's get to it. We adopted Ruuster. I met you at Real Estate Distilled in Louisville, Kentucky. I was still kind of in that, like, am I going to make the switch to Sierra kind of moment? And then I met you and we talked. I'm big on apps, guys, audience, guys and gals. Like, if you don't have an app, like, it's 2023. I remember when a previous
2024.
Yeah, it's almost 2024. I remember when a previous CRM had a app come out. It was a decent app. It was sexy. It looked good. But the true functionality of an app, in my opinion, is push notifications or text notifications of properties. So we created an app, and it's not just it's not a Ruuster app. It's actually a white branded to us, Dallaire Realty. Like, you go to the app store, and if you're watching this, I've had a lot of people download the app. Totally cool. You can do it. Please just put your real estate email in there so I know not to call you, because we do scrub and call people and all that fun stuff. I have no problem with you downloading our app. Go ahead, play with it. I'll even probably, show you some of the really cool features in that app. But yeah, I had a big problem with that other app. It didn't have push notifications. And I said, if you're releasing an app and it doesn't have push notifications, it's really pointless to me. Like, I don't need to have emails deliver or driving traffic. I want push notifications, because, like, think about your own personal life right now. Like, you've got all these distractions, all these notifications. Like, I almost get scared of not being able to, like, even get back to everybody. But the reality is like, we're so numb to emails. We're even getting numb to text messages, sadly. But push notifications is like a whole different ballgame. And, like, here's the deal. Like, if you don't have an app experience for your consumer, where do you think they're going? Where do you think they're already on?
Going to your mobile friendly website. Look, I understand mobile friendly websites. I understand that fully, but and they can be great for what they are. But they're playing. You're talking about a really good minor league team.
Mm-hmm.
No matter how good the minor league team is, it will never beat an a major league team. So mobile friendly websites are one thing. Mobile apps are a new ballgame.
Completely different ballgame. And thankfully, we have a two-way integration with Sierra Interactive. So if somebody's looking at a property on our app, it instantly shows up in the property areas. The other cool thing, and I've tested it in real time, they look at a property 5 times instantly. It doesn't matter if it's on the website or on the app. That push notification from Sierra saying, hey, this person looked at a property 5 times. And if you don't think behavioral triggers matter in conversion, you're in trouble, because I'm telling you, it does. It can be overwhelming, and you get numb to that too from time to time. Don't get me wrong. But then I actually you remember when I signed up for the app, and like, I do not want to make this just a big pitch for the app, because I practice what I preach. Like, I can even share my screen and show you some examples of some really cool stuff that have happened with the app. And we still have to do a better job of adoption and getting more and more downloads out of our people. Like, I'm trying to train my team on every single, answer on the phone. Like, you need to pump that app. You need to get them on it, because if you do, what we have seen with the people that have actually downloaded the app, the actual activity increases. I think there was like a mathematical study, like, your users on the app do like X number times more activity versus email. Like, it's
Yeah. So here are some numbers. If you don't believe anecdotally that apps are helpful, here's some numbers that might make you think differently. So first things first is over 70% or around 70% of online traffic in North America takes place from a phone or tablet, right? Because people are obsessed with this. People are obsessed with their phones, and there's plenty of other apps out there that they're downloading if you don't get in order to get what they're looking for, if you don't have a solution for them. And then as far as the usage rate goes, something that really stood out to me was one of our strategic partners from a website perspective told us that they had a 70% bounce rate. People will come to the website, and 7 out of 10 of them will leave after going to the first page. Our bounce rate was less than 2%. So 98 and a half out of 100 people would open up the app and click through it. And on average, they viewed 11 different pages. So that's a tremendous amount of activity. And I was speaking with a buddy of yours, Greg, just yesterday. He was telling me his average website activity or duration is about 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes, which is good for a website. I mean, that's actually better than I expected. But for our average user duration on the site is 4.5 minutes. And all that to say, like, this is a game of getting people's attention, and you've been able to drive such high volume on a per agent basis because you've really, really understood what it takes and what it means to be able to convert leads at a high level, right? And so this is the evolution of the game, right? Like, I would assume in the past 8 years, you've seen the conversion process of leads change. Like, it hasn't been the same for the past 8 years. This is you as the CEO looking around the corner, seeing what the future holds and how to best position yourself to maximize your conversion. So that's some numbers and some perspectives that are worth considering when you think about, why is Greg talking about this?
Yeah, so I'm sharing my screen right now. I wanted to share you a live example of kind of a situation. This is not something that, I know you always get mad at me if I ever talk about this, because it's not like to be expected. We do have a pretty good brand presence, and we do have a pretty good name recognition in our local market, which took 13 years to get and didn't come overnight. But this gal right here had downloaded our app, and she originally came in August 17th. She is still active right now, and I will show you that in the app. So I'm actually in Sierra Interactive. I do believe I did. Let me just make sure I shared my sound. So we launched the app. I don't know if you remember the exact date, but I think it was August 17th. So this person actually found the app in the App Store on her own, which is not typical. But like I said, we have a pretty good brand recognition. Like I said, I practice what I preach. I made this call, left her a message. I also texted her, and I basically asked, hey, begging her for feedback. So I'm going to play this call just to see if we can dive into this.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing spectacular. Yourself?
Good. It's Friday, so we're all happy, right?
Yeah, I'm taking my bride out for Mexican tonight, so it's going to be a good night. Just got done showing out for like an hour and a half.
Oh,
but
okay. Sure.
It's a good Friday.
Yeah, that'll be nice. Yeah.
So you're like, what's going on? Why am I asking all these weird questions? But yeah, I mean,
well, I figured if you're just starting out the app, then you probably want some input. So I figured, why not? So.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
How did you find it?
So to be upfront with you, so we're me and my fiance are kind of looking for a house. We're just doing it slowly. We're not in a rush or anything. But I have been going on Realtor, the app, and just kind of looking at that ever so often. I'm like, oh, I wonder if there's any more like local ones. So
you have consumers, first-time home buyers who are maybe in the millennial or whatever generation you want to talk about that are actually looking to the app store for guidance. So Danny is still in what's called the prime category. Nick, one of our top agents on our team, has been working with her for a while. But this is a really good example because she's still live in the process. Like, you get an internet lead, it's going to take time to convert the lead. I mean, everybody wants them to convert instantly. Like, you still have to work, and work ethic is extremely important. But I do want to kind of share with you, like, 3 hours ago, 1 day ago, 1 day ago, 1 day ago, like, this gal is active, but she's active on the app. Let me just bump over to the other side, because I think it's important for everybody to see this stuff. Like, instead of just talking about like, oh, this is a great product, like, proof is in the pudding. Like, I get so disgruntled when I can't see the proof. When somebody's throwing out these great ideas about how great these tools are, I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to show you. Okay. So every property, so that every property that she's been looking at is in here, like, being tracked in real time.
And this is important because it keeps your agents efficient, right? So if y'all don't know my background, I've been in the real estate tech space for a while, mostly working for CRM companies. And a lot of the most successful agents I talk to have just told me flat out to my face, it may be a good product, but if it doesn't integrate with my CRM and my agents can't use it from my CRM, then, tough luck. Sorry. Because that drives agent adoption. It keeps agents efficient. And it keeps opportunities from slipping through the cracks. So, and the last thing I want to do is pull someone out of the CRM. So
I was testing the platform, and I do use the chat. And what I found is, like, the users that use the chat, they use the chat. Not everyone is going to use the chat, but the cool thing is, if like somebody were to unsubscribe from you on maybe text messaging or something, but they save a listing and they're on the app, guess what? You can still chat with them in the app. And you also get your own preferential push notification from your actual app. So you can see that this lady, she registered August 17th. I knew from that 17-minute phone call that she was really just in the starting phases, and I'm not going to smother her, but all of a sudden she started saving some properties from the app. And I said, no pressure, we're here when you're ready. And then she's like, hey, we're ready to start seeing some houses. So Carpio is in the field with this client, and I know they've already written 3 to 4 offers, and unfortunately they're in that price range, which is still extremely difficult to get, but he'll get them under contract pretty quickly. The other thing about the app that I did not think that this was really going to happen, but I want to share it because the people that I have talked to recently are like blown away about the actual the vendor aspect of this, the hire professionals aspect of this. So I had filled out, I honestly still need to put more people in here and figure out how I want to really leverage this. But Joe Mongen is an insurance company or insurance agent we use. I want to show you a real live example of somebody who went and actually, like, I didn't do it, like, she did it. This gal is pending. She is closed. This gal's been pretty awesome as far as like feedback on the app too. She's got your development team working on some fun stuff, but oh yeah, here we go. Good. 2 months ago, viewed insurance vendors page. I just want to see. Yeah, here
insurance request. There it is.
Yeah, so the app actually created hopefully we can blur out this personal information, but yeah, the person actually, and I was shocked because I got the notification and I was like, And that's the other weird thing about the app. And I'm like, we'll go back to like just how we're doing 44 units on average. I have no problem just diving into that, but this is a part of it though. I do really believe the future of our business is all about increasing conversions. Like we're in competition with mega corporations trying to, capture people's minds. And the best way to do that is with an app. Like, I feel like if you don't have an app, you're missing a vital thing.
Yeah, I mean, you're alienating 70% of online traffic, right? We said 70% of online traffic happens from here in a tablet. You don't have an app solution. The pond from which you can fish is that 30%.
Yeah, you're not wrong. But yeah, so this gal, like, this is more than just an app. But what did I care about? What was my main thing when I signed up?
Agent adoption,
but it was also the search. Like the only thing I initially cared about was the search. Push notifications in the search has got to be good, and it's got to be fast, and it's got to be sexy. And I really truly believe, I'm sure I'm going to be blown up by people downloading the app, which is totally cool. Just please put your real estate name in the email so we don't bother you.
And remember, Greg is an independent person, an independent brokerage. He doesn't work for a brokerage with any reputation of hardcore recruiting. So you don't have to worry about Greg calling to recruit you.
You're exactly correct. I will not be putting you in certain places, but yeah, I think that's enough for the app. Let's get back to the other questions. Sorry about that. Just getting fired up.
Hey, look, I love it. I got my Ruuster hat on. Happy to chat about it. But I mean, it's all said for very specific reasons, right? To me, thinking about this, it's similar. It's akin to getting a website in 2005, right? 2006, right? You got a website. I remember my early days at Sync. Even I had agents telling me like, I don't need to have a website. Like, what? Yeah, of course you do. Of course you need a website. Are you crazy? And there's going to be a time in the not too distant future where people will be saying the same things about why you wouldn't have your own branded app. So anyways, that is kind of the future of conversion. And again, the topic today is how did Greg generate, or how does he have so many agents who perform at such high volume with such consistency? And it's because he has the right tech stack. We've talked about open to close makes his transaction coordinator more efficient. Sisu drives accountability and it drives activity. Sierra Interactive, great CRM that generates leads and offers some conversion tools. And then Ruuster, of course, which is the next evolution of the conversion engine, if you will. So that's a quick recount of what we've been talking about so far. So one thing I do want to talk about is the changes, right? You haven't had this tech stack for 8 years. It's evolved over time. What about the industry has changed that you've seen that's resulted in such transitions or introductions of technology? And what do you see going forward?
Yeah, I mean, we leverage AI for certain things in our business, and we do a lot of really kind of weird stuff with that. And I know that's going to play even a much greater role in the future. And it's already in play. It's already like moving in front of our faces right now as we're speaking. I mean, the AI is probably taking this thing and, transcribing it. And, it's incredible where that is going. I'm not scared of it. I'm definitely trying to embrace it and leverage that as much as possible, and hope that a lot of our partners are kind of, getting to the thought process like, hey, we really need to adopt this and embed it into our platforms to make people more efficient. I just saw a guy recently just posting about he had connected a couple programs to another CRM follow-up boss where he's basically, and Jesse from Call Action. So like from an inbound call, like our yard sign and other phone numbers and things like Call Action. Jesse's already got AI baked into it. So any call that goes through his platform will take the actual text transcription, and then the AI will actually break it down into like nice formalized notes. So I think there's a lot of direction going that way. Not necessarily to personally replace us, but to actually make us more efficient and be able to get more out of our notes. I mean, like just the call transcription and what Jesse's been able to do in a very short period of time. He's always kind of like the first to launch those features, which is pretty cool. So as far as how my tech stack has evolved over time, I've always, when I'm making improvements to our tech stack, always has to solve a problem or make us more efficient, or a combination of both. And typically I like it to save us money and time. You know, there's a lot of different ways that that can happen. I always tell everybody that like the minute I think I have this figured out is the minute I get my ass kicked. And I really don't like getting my ass kicked. So and Mike, one of our leaders on our team, is like soaking in education knowledge. And this is a guy who's been doing this for a long time, who averages 60 to 100 home sales a year. And he's still treating it like he's got so much to learn. And so what we all do, you know. I think the technology has made us better, given us more opportunities to coach ourselves. You know, like I've got, you know, call recording and in our system where we can use that from a coaching perspective, and figure out how we can get better on these calls.
Yeah, I mean, there's a nugget right there that everyone needs to write down. The minute I think I figured it out is the minute I get my ass kicked, right? I mean, that is the way of the world. That is the way of the world. If you're not always sharpening your skill set, reviewing your operations, if you're not constantly doing that, then you're going to get left behind. So in that vein, you've gone through agents, you've hired the wrong agents, you've had some folks who don't live up to the Dallaire Realty standard. What, like, was that because they didn't adopt to these changes? They didn't embrace your technology? Where did they fall short? Because you can usually learn quite a bit from failure. So what did they miss?
I would say, you know, I remember going to you know, a Unite conference back in like 2015, 16, where like the theme of it was accountability is love. I used to always think that accountability was like micromanaging somebody. I think a lot of the agents that there hasn't really been that many that have left, thankfully, because we do a really good job on the front end, and we've just been, you know, we've been very, very fortunate in that regard. But the ones that have really kind of bucked accountability, bucked technology, we are definitely a technology company that happens to sell real estate. And if you're not, I feel like I can train some people, and I think I've thought I could train some people, and I just, you know, just not everyone is built for technology and utilizing it that way. So,
it's not a culture fit.
Yeah, it's not a culture fit from a technology standpoint for sure. And yeah, we need somebody to at least embrace it and not be afraid of change. We made a lot of change in the last, we made a lot of change in the last 13 years. Like this isn't just I mean, this last 14 months has been, and it's been hard on mentally on a lot of us, you know, but we see the bright light at the end of the tunnel. We see that we have better tools. We see that we're one of the only companies in Wisconsin that actually has their own app in the App Store, Android and Apple, that people can download and use. And, you know, so I'm never afraid of it. Sometimes it's tiring, I'm not gonna lie, but I don't want to get my ass kicked.
Hey, that vulnerability is something the industry could use some more of. All right, so we've got 120 seconds before we know we need to run. Any parting words or pieces of advice?
Yeah, so what I would tell you is, like, if somebody tells you can't do something, you just have to blow through that. Like, what did Jelly Roll say? It's better to look out the front window than the rear view. Like, if you're struggling right now, I promise you there are places that you could be in a better position, teams that actually provide value, opportunities, coach and train you. Maybe you need some leverage. Maybe you need to get a virtual assistant. Maybe you need to get better at, you know, phone calls, etc. I would think that the big success of how we're able to do so many units per year is consistency. Mike has poured into us. You know, Mike was in mortgage industry prior to this. He's poured into us. If we can't do something consistent, we can't do it. And then we actually got smarter and said, hey, we need our support team to actually do a lot of this stuff for us, because agents aren't going to do it. Agents are great at like presenting in your living room, but they suck at the details. So we hired, like, you need to hire detailed expert people around you, either from a virtual perspective or internally, to be able to get some leverage so you can do more. But there's so much that our support team does for our agents that they need to do consistently, but they're never going to do consistently. Salespeople are just not going to do, they're not going to do the mailers consistently. They're not going to do the database cleanup, So all of those things consistently, like we've been running events for over a decade. We had over 1,000 people to the Mario Brothers movie last year. We're going to have probably 500 to 700 people at a Santa event this weekend. We have like a tribe of past clients and people that like us, know us, and trust us. Do we convert a lot of online opportunities? Yes. Here's the problem is that over time, the longer you're on our team, the more you want to just work with your past clients and referrals, because working other things are what? It's work. But you have to bring out your sword and be willing to provide value to people that are truly motivated right now. And your ability to find motivated buyers and sellers right now is your number one job.
That's awesome. No, what I love about this half hour, 45 minutes really, is that you have opened up a lot of the X's and O's of how you interview agents, what technology that you use, the mindset that you expect. You expect people to come to work. It's a job. You go to work at your job.
They are independent contractors.
Independent contractors, sure,
Yep.
but they got to work. And the reality is there's an unlimited number of ways to generate business, right? And when I go to the masterminds and I hear new agents ask, how do I generate business? So many of them are expecting to hear something that they've never heard before, but we all know nothing new under the sun, right? Whatever way that you plan to generate business, like continue to do it. But here are some of the expectations that Greg has of his agents, of his team. Here's the technology that he has to support them to make their life easier. And that's how they're able to generate such consistent business. Because I imagine you have agents with different skill sets, and maybe some are better at converting online leads than others, but some are probably better at events than others, right? So lean into those strengths. But you have to have this kind of structure built around them that Greg has built in order to allow them to take advantage of those strengths.
Yeah, we have massive overhead. We have, we're paying half of the insurance for our admin staff. We're, doing 401k contributions for our admin staff. These are things that I feel like you mandatory need to do, but there's a lot of companies that are not providing benefits to their administrative staff. But my point is with the big overhead comment, because we do invest in getting our agents leads, that this structure and the pricing is different. So if you can find a team, if you're struggling right now and they actually do truly provide closings for their people, the splits and things are going to be different, but they should, because there's a massive amount of investment into overhead. And it looks like really, really great, but you've got to be doing a lot of transactions to truly make that system work, if that makes sense. So.
Totally. Well, thanks so much for your time today, Greg. We really appreciate it. Thank you for everybody for attending. Please, if you want to learn more about Greg or get in touch, what's the best way to get in touch with you, Greg?
TikTok, Instagram, Dallaire Realty, Facebook, whatever you want to do is fine with us. Like I said, you can download the app. Just please put or at least put Realtor in your name or something, so we know not to bug you because we will call you.
Well, that's GreenBayGreg, everybody. That's Big Air Dallaire. Thanks so much again today. My name is Randy Carroll from Ruuster. Check us out, Ruuster.com, RUUSTER.com. That's RUUSTER.com. So thanks, everybody.
Good to see you, brother. Take care.
Good to see you, dude. Cheers.
Bye.